Geek, Citadel.
Welcome to the overview. Let's do the Battlefield 1 beta impressions. Alright, first the pros. The graphics, beautiful visuals. I love it. The storms that whip through, blowing grains of sand into the air, the wisps of smoke flowing from the train as it barrels across the tracks, the highly detailed terrain, rocks, and characters, the way flames roll over a body and black smoke just engulfs them, and it's just, it's gorgeous. This is easily the best looking Battlefield out there right now, and that's next to Battlefront, because Battlefront was a good looking game, but this is even better looking than Battlefront was. Bad Company and Bad Company 2 had great destruction, but Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 leaned on their gimmicks more than destruction. But Battlefield 1's destruction is absolutely amazing. Like, everything can pretty much be destroyed, and that's great. It's great that they bringing that back and doing less of that Levolution junk that they were doing in Battlefield 4. And it just looks spectacular. You just watch the entire landscape shift and all the rubble crumbling around you, or the impact of craters in the sand, and it's something I'm happy to see return in full force. We couldn't talk about a Battlefield game without talking about the sound design, and the sound design in this game is beautiful. Each of the individual characters have their own little thing they talk about. So when you throw down a medipack, they be like, "Hey, here's the med for you," and they'll be like, "Thanks." And then if you're capturing an area, they'll be like, "Hunker down, boys." It's very active and it keeps you immersed in the world a bit. The guns all sound incredibly unique. You can hear the rumble of explosions and planes flying above. It's spectacular. Probably one of the best sound designs I've ever heard, but Battlefield games are notoriously good for those. But this just might be the best one yet. Let's talk about that gunplay though. We're talking about speed and accuracy now. The first thing people might notice is that this game is much more similar to Battlefront than it is any Battlefield game, but that helps the series become more of a fast-paced arena shooter than it has been in the past. These are probably the most dangerous and most accurate guns you've ever seen in a Battlefield game, which really doesn't make sense for World War I, but hey, it's not realistic, so it's just fine. You were probably expecting more single-fire rifles and a lot of reload times, but nope, there are lots of experimental submachine guns and machine guns just waiting to let off loads of bullets into any unsuspecting foe. Vehicles are back in top form. This time we have planes, bombing planes, artillery trucks, tanks, and more tanks. As you'd expect, vehicles are absolutely devastating and more than likely the hardest vehicles to kill in any Battlefield yet. That's because of the slightly underpowered anti-tank weapons you're given for the era. The assault class gets anti-tank grenades and AT rockets to try to destroy any vehicle, and snipers get a K sniper gun that I guess hits really hard on vehicles. The rest of the classes get to run around and find anti-tank emplacements, or the elite class that can take out a tank if it gets enough shots. Since we're talking about elite classes, let's go into specifics. Each elite class is heavily armored and they each have their own design. One carries a flamethrower that's used for destroying infantry. Another can walk around like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando and go, with the gun, me kill you. So he's just letting off with the chopper and just laying people out all over the place. And finally, we have one that's like an anti-tank sniper that's used for taking out vehicles. That being said, the flamethrower and the Gatling gun guy seem more like a novelty when compared to the incredibly useful anti-tank sniper who can use long-range weapons to destroy planes and tanks. Oh, and did I forget the horse? The horse is absolutely crazy, especially in the beta because it's basically a tank of its own. It's incredibly fast, has super leaping power, so if you see one of these riding towards you, you're probably going to die unless you can shoot the rider off, which is incredibly difficult to do. Let's get into some cons! Let's talk about classes. Specifically, let's talk about medic and support classes. Let's talk about support. Support has some of the best guns in the game, but they don't do anything outside of having good guns. They have the LMGs, which hold the most bullets and probably are the most accurate machine guns in the game. But outside of that, they're completely useless. Now I know you're going to say, shouldn't having the best guns in the game be all that matters? But they don't have the best guns in the game. They just have powerful light machine guns. Actually, Assault class has the best guns in the game. And if you're a sniper, then you really have the best gun in the game because 2 shots is a kill. So if the Assault class has anti-tank weapons and some of the best guns in the game, and Sniper also has an anti-tank weapon and the best guns in the game, why does Support only get good guns and nothing else? Okay, they get mines that they can kill infantry with, but once again, you can kill infantry with anything in any class, so that's nothing special. The real problem is when a vehicle rolls up and you don't have the proper class for taking out the vehicle. So what do you do at that point? You can't run over to an emplacement because the vehicle will kill you. So why in this day and age does support only have ammo, especially in a game where you can die every 5 seconds? Let's talk about the medic, which was pretty much worthless in the Battlefield 1 beta. The shit for medic being an assault class gives them probably the worst guns in the game. And I don't mean worse like bad for the medic guns, I mean they're probably the most balanced gun in the game compared to the rest of the guns. But the shift from Conquest also gave people the weird idea that medics didn't need to revive anyone anymore. Since deaths don't really count anymore in Conquest, people felt the need that they didn't need to be revived and they would skip revives. Which actually seems like a design flaw instead of something that you would actually want to do. Back in previous Battlefield games, if you got revived and you didn't want to accept a revive, you could just choose not to get up. So I started telling people to request a revive because we can't see if you're dead unless you do. And then right after that, someone would say, well, deaths don't matter as much in Conquest, so no need for a revive. And then I would have to explain to people that reviving is instant instead of waiting 15 seconds on the deploy screen. So yeah, it does matter. People feel like they don't need to wait for revives anymore, so they skip revives, wait in the loadout screen, and come right back. But that's just one of the medic's problems in the beta. The main problem was that you couldn't see people on the ground who needed to be revived. If they didn't request revive, you had to look at the map and run over to the skull and crossbones, pull out your injector and try to save them. If they're already dead or they skipped, the skull and crossbones will still be on the map and you can't understand why you can't res this person, and it understandably ends up being an exercise in frustration. In fact, I died around many medics who felt the need that they didn't even have to pick me up. So if the medic class was selfish before, it's even more selfish now because of all the bugs and the messed up revive system. Let's move on to the melee system, which I actually like a little bit. You'll just end up like pounding your axe or pickaxe into somebody's back, or just fighting it out, hoping one of you guys get a kill. But then there's the worst mechanic, which is the charging mechanic, where you like run at a guy like, ah, and you stab him in the chest. This little ditty of an animation is probably the most ridiculous thing in the game, and it showcases why Battlefield has the worst movement. So you see somebody charging at you with a lance and there's nothing you can do about it. You can't jump to the side, you can't dive, you can't move out of the way. There's nothing you can do but die to this animation. You can have one hope that you can shoot enough shots into this person before they drive their lance into your chest, which makes no sense because the animation should stop if you're blowing them away. They should really change it so that it's used more tactically because you can't really dodge it or get out of the way of it quick enough for you to even be able to avoid it. And this is where we head into the cons of movement in Battlefield games. Battlefield games are really stiff despite what you may see on the screen. It all comes down to the simplest things. You trying to climb up something that should be easy to get on top of, but then your body comes sliding back down or you never even make the movement to climb on it at all. It's ridiculous how hard it is to get around in this game, how hard it is to jump out of a window, how hard it is to open or close a door. It blows my mind that after Battlefield 3, Battlefield 2, Battlefield Bad Company 2, you still cannot properly move in a Battlefield game. Sure, this game showcases new cool animations like climbing over fences and jumping out of windows and all that cool stuff, but you still get stuck on the littlest, dumbest crap in the game. Speaking of movement and why it gets in the way, let's talk about AT rockets. So you have to use AT rockets in this game to destroy tanks. To use an AT rocket, you have to go prone. If you're not on a stable surface, your character will jingle and jangle on the ground and will be unable to fire the rocket because he has to be on a stable surface, which makes no sense when you're sitting on that sand dune and you see your character like moving and jangling and jangling and you're like, oh, I just want to shoot the thing, and then you die to a tank. It's just that kind of little simple mechanic that is so annoying, such a nuisance in this game that it shouldn't even be a problem anymore. I just don't understand why movement is still so difficult in these games. What's worse is that this Battlefield could have learned from Hardline, which had better movement than Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 3, even though that game didn't take off. Oh, I got another con for you. It's the light tank. The light tank in the beta was the most overpowered thing I ever seen in a Battlefield game. Number one, it can shoot across the map and snipe people, instant kills. Number two, it was the fastest tank ever. It could just vroom, and dodge all kind of stuff. It didn't make any sense. The tank is just ridiculous and it really needs a nerf. Another con is the anti-tank emplacements. The AA gun is great. The AA gun will shred bombers, no problem. But the anti-tank weapon is garbage. You put this big shell in an anti-tank weapon, and then it takes 5 seconds to load it. Then you fire it at something, and it does as much damage as the AT rocket does, which is 20 damage. So you got this gigantic shell that takes 5 seconds to put in, leaves you vulnerable on the back and the sides of your body where you can be sniped at any time. You take all of that risk so that you can hit it for 20 damage? It's not even worth it. That thing needs a buff. Speaking of emplacements, with no anti-air weapons and only the assault class that's really capable of destroying vehicles, why are emplacements able to be destroyed permanently? There should be a way to repair or redeploy the emplacements, because there's no way to actually fight unless you go into the assault class, which creates class imbalances. Of course, it doesn't matter right now because medic is trash and support doesn't really do anything, but later in the game when they actually figure out these issues, it could be a problem. That net code is janky as hell. Now, the game's running at 60 hertz, and somehow I'm still getting shot behind walls. Let's just say the fabled one-shot kill is still in effect, but that just means that somebody shot you like 6 times before you could understand what was happening on your screen, and your character was already dead. So if this is the net code when the game releases, I don't want to play, because I don't want to have to be Batman to try to figure out what the hell happened to my character because the game isn't properly tracking shots. The factory shotgun is amazing at close range and at medium range, which makes no sense. So the medium range needs to be nerfed. And then the heavy shotgun is just trash, like the worst shotgun I've ever seen. You could be like right next to a person, bow, 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 you'll miss shots. It doesn't make any sense. It's a shotgun. It's a shotgun. How are you missing? Oh, and spotting. Spotting is so bad in this game. It's incredibly hard to do. It don't make any sense why you can't do it easily like you can in the past Battlefield games. And I'm not talking about being able to see people no matter what. I'm talking about actually trying to spot. Aiming down the sights and pushing the button and spamming the hell out of it. You can't tell why you can't spot, and it's just so frustrating that you stop doing it. It's like you're pushing the button, you're spamming it, and you're like, man, why can't I spot this guy? And that's generally what's wrong with this Battlefield as a whole. You can't really tell what's going on around you. The map doesn't give you a lot of clarification of where shots are coming from anymore. You see dead bodies on the ground, but you're not sure if you can revive them, and you try to revive them and nothing happens. The game has phenomenal sound design, but you can't hear when a horse is rolling up, you can't hear when a tank is rolling up, you can't hear any Jeep, anything until it's like right next to you and you're already dead. Vehicles should also have a longer spot time. It doesn't make any sense that a vehicle can roll off into town and you won't know where it's at. It's a car. It's a tank. It's impossible to not know where it went. It should at least last long enough for the people that are closer to it. The farther away it gets, sure, the spotting should disappear, but the spot should last for a long time so we'll know where the damn tank is, because you can't really hear it. Planes are amazing in this game. You can fly really fast, use bombing runs, do strafing runs on people, and they're probably one of the first vehicles that I actually kind of want to learn to use. But that's the thing I like about the planes. They have this high mobility, but they're paper thin. They can be shot out of the air by pretty much anything. It's only like jets in Battlefield 4 where you can just kind of zoom around the map and not worry about getting touched much. It takes a better class of pilot to be able to take out planes in the air, but also move down and strategically take out the forces below. That being said, the rear gun on the fighter plane could use a little tweaking because it seems fairly weak compared to the rest of the fighter guns. Especially the one on the bombing plane is just laying people out, but the one in the fighter is just trash. I could talk for hours about things I don't like about the game, but that being said, I did enjoy my time with the beta. Would I purchase the game for $60? Probably not. I didn't really like the map. The map was a little wide open and catered to snipers and vehicles, and didn't really give the infantry a chance to grind and get in there. In fact, the map kind of creates this zone where it doesn't want the infantry to leave the city areas of the game, because E is so far out that it's almost impossible to get to, and most of the vehicles are gone by the time the game starts. So unlike previous Battlefields where it's like a Jeep here, a Jeep there, a motorbike here, a motorbike there, there's almost no way to get around in this game, and it's super difficult to run across the map for 3 minutes thinking you might get killed. So it's a lot of risk with little reward, and E is usually barren because of it. Let's just say it's no Gulf of Omen. I also don't like the way medics are at this moment. That being said, just like Battlefront, I feel like I can wait or pass on this Battlefield altogether. We'll see if they want to do another beta closer to the release date, but right now I'm not totally sold.